Hey, this is me, Myron Golden. You don't get what you want in life, you get who you are. Success doesn't respond to begging. Wealth doesn't answer wishes. Favor doesn't flow to the desperate cry of desire. It flows to the determined commitment of identity. See, the world doesn't reward what you hope for. It rewards what you embody. If you're showing up as confusion, you attract chaos. If you're living in fear, you attract more problems. But if you walk in boldness, speak with conviction, act in discipline, and live in excellence, success starts chasing you. Most people spend their lives chasing outcomes, desperately grasping for a better future, bigger income, stronger relationships, or deeper meaning. They set goals, they write affirmations, they say all the right things, but still come up short. Why? Because they haven't yet understood a fundamental truth. You do not get what you want, you get what you are. What you want is a weak force. It is passive. It is a longing with no demand. It has no authority in the marketplace of life. You can want health, but if you live as someone who neglects their body, the result will not change. You can want wealth, but if your habits reflect scarcity and not stewardship, abundance won't come. The universe, God, and even people around you respond not to your desires, but to your demonstration. This is the difference between wishing and working, between talking and transforming. Desire is only the spark. Identity is the fuel. Most people try to manifest outcomes without ever upgrading the version of themselves that would be able to manage, sustain, or attract those outcomes. The result? Frustration, stagnation, and repeated cycles of failure. Everything in your life is coming from the level of your internal thermostat. It's set to your identity. You might visit higher temperatures, momentary success, brief motivation, but if your internal setting is still low, you'll always drop back down. This is why people sabotage opportunities. They haven't raised their internal identity to match the external environment. When you believe you are unworthy of success, you subconsciously resist it. When you believe you are meant to struggle, you overlook open doors. Your beliefs become your blindfold, your identity becomes your filter, and until you reprogram that filter, no amount of desire will override your defaults. This is why change is hard. Not because the process is difficult, but because we're attached to the identity that created our current results. People say they want to make more money, but they still see themselves as broke. They say they want to get in shape, but they still think like someone who hates the gym. They want new outcomes, but they don't want to let go of old versions. You must be willing to kill the lesser version of yourself to become the greater. There is no resurrection without crucifixion. If you want to live at a higher level, something at your current level must die. That might be laziness, that might be pride, that might be excuses, or the habit of blaming others. Whatever it is, it cannot survive in the same space where your destiny is meant to flourish. Everything about you speaks before you open your mouth. Your posture, your energy, your consistency, your discipline, it all communicates your identity. People can feel confidence. They can sense certainty. And if you walk into a room with power, you don't need to announce your presence. Your identity has already done that for you. The greatest lie is that you need to do more to have more. In reality, you need to become more. Action flows from identity. If you see yourself as a high performer, excellence is natural. If you see yourself as a leader, you take initiative without being asked. But if you still view yourself as average, everything extraordinary will feel unnatural. Your life is shaped more by your subconscious self-perception than by your conscious desires. You can't out-hustle your identity. You can't outwork a belief system that keeps telling you you're not enough. That's why personal development isn't about learning more, it's about unbecoming who you are not, so you can remember who you truly are. And here's the sobering part. Your current life is proof of your current identity. the quality of your relationships, your income level, your physical health. It's all a reflection of what you've believed about yourself and acted upon repeatedly. If you want different fruit, you've got to plant different seeds. And those seeds live in your identity. This is not about faking it until you make it. That's surface level. This is about forming it until you become it. You don't just say, I'm successful. You think, breathe, move, and operate like success is your native language. And the more you do, the more congruent your life becomes with that reality. When you change your identity, you shift what feels normal, and what feels normal determines what you tolerate. Some people tolerate chaos because drama feels familiar. Others tolerate poverty because lack is all they've known. But when you reset your identity to abundance, peace, and purpose, anything that doesn't match becomes uncomfortable. Identity drives behavior. If your identity says, I'm disciplined, waking up early and staying focused isn't a struggle, it's standard. If your identity says, I'm valuable, you attract mutual respect. You attract mutual respect. Your identity sets the tone for what's acceptable and what's possible. Want is emotional. Identity is structural. A house built on desire will collapse under pressure. But a house built on identity, on truth, clarity, and alignment can weather any storm. Most people are trying to build skyscraper success on a sandcastle self-image. That's why it keeps falling apart. The marketplace doesn't pay you for your wishes. It pays you for your worth, and your worth is rooted in who you believe you are. If you don't see yourself as someone who creates value, you won't charge for your services. If you don't see yourself as a solution, you'll stay silent when people need your voice. Changing your identity is not an overnight event. It's a conscious decision followed by consistent repetition. Every day you show up as that new version, your old self gets weaker. Every habit you form, every choice you make in alignment with the person you want to be, it's like carving a new path in your brain, in your spirit, in your results. Your identity is not fixed, it's formed through truth, through discipline, and through vision. The key is not just to envision a better life, but to embody the version of you that can create and sustain it. You don't attract your dreams, you attract what you become. And what you become is entirely up to you. Your outer world is a direct reflection of your inner world. It's not your circumstances that determine your reality. It's the condition of your mind, your spirit, your identity. Life doesn't bend to the words you speak out of habit. It aligns with the truth you hold in your heart. The world mirrors not your potential, but your perception. Everything that happens to you is shaped by what's happening in you. You can have two people walk into the same situation. One sees opportunity, the other sees risk. One sees a chance to grow, the other sees a reason to retreat. The situation didn't change, their mirror did. Their inner world dictated their interpretation, and that interpretation produced a result. What's dangerous is how unaware most people are of their own mirror. They react to life not realizing they're responding to a reflection of themselves. If they carry fear, they see danger. If they carry doubt, they question every open door. If they carry insecurity, they assume rejection before it happens. It's not that the world is against them. It's that they're against themselves, and life is simply echoing it back. The mirror doesn't lie. It doesn't adjust based on what you hope to see. If you don't like what you're seeing in your life, the mirror is not the problem. You can't break the mirror and expect a better reflection. You have to change the image that's being reflected. And that image is your identity, your beliefs, your self-concept. So many people try to fix their lives externally. They change jobs, switch partners, move cities, buy new clothes, post new content. But their mirror stays the same. And soon enough, they find themselves in the same patterns, the same cycles, the same disappointments. They escaped the room, but carried the prison inside them. The mirror principle is inescapable. You can't outperform it. You can't talk your way around it. You attract what confirms your inner image. If you see yourself as overlooked, you unconsciously behave in ways that make you invisible. If you see yourself as unworthy, you sabotage what you desire most. It's not magic. It's alignment. The most dangerous thing you can do is decorate a broken mirror. Dress it up, clean the frame, polish the glass. But if the reflection is distorted, your reality will stay twisted. This is why personal development isn't about cosmetics. It's about construction. You rebuild your inner world so your outer world has something new to reflect. When you develop confidence on the inside, life starts meeting you with favor. Not because life changed, but because you changed. Your energy speaks. Your clarity commands. Your self-respect repels dysfunction. Suddenly, the same situations that once drained you no longer even appeal to you. They no longer match your frequency. People don't realize that your internal world leaks. You can't hide it. You might smile on the outside, but people can feel uncertainty. You might try to appear strong, but if you're crumbling internally, it comes through in your posture, your tone, your decisions. Life reads you through the mirror you carry. If you want a better harvest, you don't blame the soil, you check the seed. The seed is your mindset. The seed is your emotional pattern. The seed is your worldview. The mirror doesn't just reflect what you do, it reflects what you believe. So you don't need new fruit, you need new roots. The mirror principle is also why gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude trains your mind to focus on abundance. And when your mirror is shaped by gratitude, life reflects more of what you appreciate. You begin to see possibilities where others see problems. You develop eyes for favor. You create momentum without forcing it. Likewise, if your mirror is shaped by resentment, fear, or regret, your reality will reflect back more of that energy. You'll keep running into obstacles that feel familiar, not because the world is against you, but because your mirror is magnetized to dysfunction. You've trained your inner lens to expect pain, so life keeps obliging. The shift happens the moment you take ownership of your mirror. That means taking responsibility for how you interpret life, how you talk to yourself, how you react to struggle. It means asking not why is this happening to me, but what is this showing me about my reflection? Every trigger is a teacher. Every setback is a signal. When your inner world is rooted in clarity, purpose, and faith, the mirror becomes a tool, not a trap. You stop being reactive. You stop chasing validation. You stop explaining your worth. Instead, you show up with truth, and the world begins to show you back the same thing. Truth. People treat you based on how you treat yourself. Opportunities respond to the level of belief you carry. Confidence isn't just a vibe, it's an invitation. It tells life, I'm ready. It tells success, you've found a home. And if you don't see it on the outside, it's time to check your mirror. Even your prayers are filtered through your mirror. Some people pray like beggars because they still see themselves as lacking. Others pray with boldness because they know they're aligned with purpose. The language you use with God, with others, and with yourself, it's all shaped by the reflection you carry. The mirror principle also determines how long you hold on to success. Some people get blessed but can't keep it because their inner image still screams, not enough. So they push away what they've been given. They shrink in rooms they were born to lead. They drop the ball because the mirror still shows them as unworthy. Transformation doesn't start with changing your life. It starts with changing how you see, and how you see is determined by what's inside you. The mirror is always honest. You might not like what you see, but you can't fix what you won't face. The moment you face it, though, the moment you choose to rebuild that image, you reclaim your power. When the inner mirror reflects strength, truth, love, and purpose, life begins to rearrange itself to match that frequency. You'll still face storms, but you won't see them as threats. You'll see them as training. You'll still face resistance, but you'll interpret it as refinement, because now the reflection is strong enough to sustain what you're called to carry. People often ask how to rise in life, how to level up, how to reach the next dimension of success, influence, or purpose. They chase new techniques, gather more information, and seek out mentors, hoping for a secret shortcut. But the truth remains timeless and unchanging. You cannot elevate beyond the level of who you are willing to become. Embodiment must come before elevation. You have to become the version of yourself who belongs at the level you desire to operate in. Elevation is not a reward for ambition. It is the byproduct of alignment. You don't get promoted to the next level because you simply want it. You get promoted because you are equipped for it, because your identity, actions, and character are already in agreement with it. Many people want high places but refuse to grow the strength, discipline, and wisdom required to stand in those places without collapsing. The challenge is that people try to perform success before they've become success. They mimic behaviors, quote affirmations, and study the routines of the accomplished, without ever doing the deep internal work of becoming the kind of person who lives in excellence by default. Embodiment means you don't just talk like someone at the next level. You think like them. You decide like them. You carry yourself like them. Your habits expose your identity. You can't fake that. Your daily rhythm, your attitude under pressure, your attention to detail, your willingness to take responsibility, all of these tell the world who you are and what level you're truly operating on. If you want to go higher, you don't need to shout louder, you need to build deeper. Every elevation requires a new embodiment. The person you are now was only built for the current level you're surviving at. If you want to thrive in new territory, the structure of your mindset must change. Your standards must rise. Your integrity must strengthen. Your resilience must be upgraded. You have to outgrow the version of you that's settled for what's comfortable to silence. People pray for elevation but ignore the preparation. They want the platform but resist the process. They admire the spotlight but refuse the solitude. But embodiment doesn't happen in public, it happens in private. It happens in your daily decisions, in your late night battles, in your early morning discipline. Nobody sees the becoming, but everybody sees the elevation that results from it. You cannot carry old mindsets into new dimensions. Elevation without embodiment creates collapse. That's why some people reach new levels and then self-sabotage. They didn't become the kind of person who can handle that level. Their spirit never caught up with their speed. Their character never caught up with their ambition. And the result is a breakdown masked as burnout. To embody greatness means to become it at the root. It's not enough to imitate confidence. You must internalize worth. It's not enough to mimic boldness. You must develop unshakable faith in your value. Embodiment is about identity transformation, not surface level change. It's about rewriting the inner script that says, I am not enough, and replacing it with the truth that says, I was born for this. No one sustains what they haven't become. You can borrow belief for a season, but eventually the rent comes due. The way you carry yourself when no one is watching, the excellence you operate in when it's not required, the way you handle small things, these are the signs that embodiment is happening. Elevation, it doesn't choose favorites. It chooses the ready. Readiness is not about perfection. It's about alignment. You might not know everything, but you are becoming someone who learns quickly. You may not have all the resources, but you are being resourceful. You may not have the audience yet, but you are preparing your message, strengthening your voice, and acting like someone who already has impact. Most people want to feel successful before they act successfully, but embodiment flips that equation. You act successful long before you feel it. You don't wait to feel confident to move. You move until confidence catches up. The emotional reward follows the behavioral pattern. You don't wait to be inspired. You move as inspiration. Every level has a language. Every level has a posture. Every level has a culture. If you want to be accepted at the next level, you must embody its atmosphere. You must carry its discipline, its clarity, its humility. You must carry the habits of elevation long before the world gives you permission to rise. That's how favor finds you. When you already look like you belong in the place you haven't even entered yet. There's a reason some doors won't open. It's not that they're locked. It's that you haven't yet become the person with the right key. The key is not external. It's who you are. When you embody the identity that aligns with that opportunity, the door recognizes you. It opens because it was always coded for the real version of you, not the current one you're pretending with. To embody something is to integrate it so deeply that it becomes second nature. You don't have to remind yourself to be it. You are it. You don't need to psych yourself up. You walk in it effortlessly. This is why elevation feels sudden to outsiders, but never to the person who's been preparing privately. They've already been living there in spirit, in mindset, and in action. The future you desire will always demand a greater version of you. Not a fake version, not a hyped up image, but a fully integrated, transformed, disciplined, and responsible version of yourself. Embodiment is not about trying harder. It's about becoming clearer. It's not about forcing success. It's about aligning with the truth that already lives inside you. You are either becoming the kind of person who elevates consistently, or you're recycling the same version of yourself and wondering why life feels stagnant. Embodiment is the exit out of cycles. It's the decision to grow roots that match your dreams. When you root yourself in the standards of your future, the soil of your present starts working in your favor. Elevation without foundation is dangerous. But elevation with embodiment is sustainable. It's peaceful. It's powerful. Because you're no longer striving, you're expressing what you've already become. You're not trying to rise, you're simply walking in the direction that your identity has already chosen. Alignment is not just a matter of productivity, strategy, or mindset. It is spiritual. It is biblical. And if you are out of alignment with divine principles, it doesn't matter how much effort you apply, the results will always fall short of your potential. True success, lasting transformation, and meaningful elevation only happen when your life is aligned with God's order, God's timing, and God's truth. In the beginning, everything was formed through order. God created the heavens and the earth by sequence. First light, then separation of land and sea, then vegetation, then animals, and finally mankind. Even creation teaches us that disorder precedes darkness, and alignment brings illumination. You cannot walk in divine power while living in human disorder. Many people want God to bless a version of their life that he never authored. They pursue success by culture's blueprint and wonder why their results don't bring peace. They chase after money, titles, and influence, but they ignore the divine laws that govern overflow. Alignment is not about asking God to join your plans. It's about bringing your plans under his authority. God does not bless confusion. He blesses covenant. Covenant requires structure. It requires submission. It requires obedience. You cannot live in rebellion and expect the favor reserved for the righteous. You might achieve results in the world's eyes, but inside your soul will feel bankrupt. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of alignment. Biblical alignment means that your identity, actions, words, and decisions are all rooted in who God says you are, not in the shifting opinions of people or the temporary pleasures of the world. You are not called to conform, you are called to be transformed. And transformation only comes when your heart, mind, and spirit submit to truth. You can't walk in power if you're walking in compromise. The anointing is not for sale. Authority comes from surrender. Alignment starts with intimacy, time in the Word, time in prayer, time in silence, time in worship. You don't get aligned by accident. You get aligned by prioritizing the presence of the one who defines your purpose. God is not obligated to support your ambition. He is committed to fulfilling his word. So when your desires are rooted in selfish gain, your progress will always feel strained. But when your desires are purified by divine fire, they gain acceleration. What is surrendered is strengthened. What is consecrated is multiplied. Biblical alignment teaches that elevation is a byproduct, not a pursuit. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. This is not poetic advice. It is a formula. Seek the kingdom first, not second, not when it's convenient, first. And alignment flows from that priority. Disobedience delays destiny. Partial obedience is still rebellion. You don't get to rewrite the commands of God to fit your comfort. Alignment demands sacrifice. It demands that you let go of what you want in order to embrace what he wills. And when you do, the release becomes the reward. You discover that his plan was better all along. Many people are talented, but talent without alignment leads to turmoil. You can preach, teach, build, sing, or lead, but if your life isn't in divine order, the fruit will eventually rot. Biblical alignment ensures that what you build is sustained by grace, not just grit. You're not striving for outcomes. You're resting in obedience. Even Jesus modeled alignment. He said, I do nothing except what I see the Father doing. That's not just humility, it's strategy. Jesus had the power to call down angels, to perform signs at will, but he submitted his power under purpose. That is the picture of biblical alignment. Strength under submission, authority under covering. Alignment is the reason some people see supernatural acceleration while others struggle endlessly. When God knows he can trust you to stay aligned with his will, he doesn't hesitate to open doors. He doesn't delay your development. He promotes those who won't compromise his character for personal gain. Favor follows faithfulness. The reason many people feel stuck is not because they lack opportunity, it's because they've wandered outside of alignment. The wrong relationship, the wrong environment, the wrong motive. It all adds friction to the flow of favor. But when you repent, return, and realign, grace comes rushing in like a flood. God redeems the time when you return to truth. Biblical alignment does not mean you won't face adversity. It means that adversity can't destroy you. Alignment anchors you. It gives you stability when life shakes. It gives you clarity when others are confused. It gives you boldness when fear is trying to rule. Because when you're in alignment, you're standing on a word that cannot fail. The word of God is the blueprint. It is not just inspirational, it is instructional. You don't follow it to impress others, you follow it to access power. When your business is aligned with biblical integrity, you don't need to manipulate to win. When your relationships are aligned with covenant, you don't have to fear betrayal. Alignment brings protection. The enemy's primary strategy is to disrupt your alignment. He doesn't have to destroy you, he just has to distract you. He'll use busyness, bitterness, pride, lust, comparison, anything to pull you out of position. Because if he can move you out of position, he can block your provision. The key is to be vigilant in maintaining divine order in your heart Biblical alignment isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it means walking away from what feels good to embrace what is good. It may require separating from people who are popular but not purposeful. It may mean saying no to opportunities that don't align with your assignment. But obedience always brings overflow. When your life aligns with God's principles, your outcomes shift, not just spiritually, but practically. Your decisions become clearer. Your emotions become steadier. Your confidence becomes unshakable. You stop chasing approval and start walking in authority, because now your foundation isn't built on feeling, it's built on truth. The difference between a fragile life and a firm life is alignment. When the storms of life come, and they will, it is not talent or passion that will hold you up. It's alignment with God's purpose, God's timing, and God's word. Alignment is your anchor. It's your compass. It's your secret weapon in a world full of chaos. A compelling vision is not enough if the values beneath it don't support it. Vision is what you see in your spirit, that vivid picture of the future you want to manifest, the life you believe you're called to live. But values are what you live by when no one's watching. And if your daily values don't match your desired vision, you will always live in frustration. Vision without values is a fantasy. It looks good on paper, but it collapses in practice. You can talk about building a legacy, changing lives, creating wealth, or walking in purpose. But if your values still reflect laziness, dishonesty, inconsistency, or fear, your vision will never materialize. Your life will always produce according to what you prioritize. It's not the strength of your dreams that determines your outcome. It's the strength of your discipline, integrity, and consistency. Most people are in love with the idea of their vision, but they haven't fallen in love with the process that makes it possible. They dream big at night, but compromise small values in the morning. And every compromise is a crack in the foundation. You don't lose the vision overnight. You lose it piece by piece, value by value, habit by habit. Values are the invisible scaffolding that support visible success. You may want to impact millions, but if you don't value humility, you'll crumble under the weight of attention. You may want to generate generational wealth, but if you don't value stewardship, you'll squander the blessing. You may want deep relationships, but if you don't value honesty, those connections will never be secure. Your values tell the truth about what you believe you're worth. If you settle for mediocrity, it's because somewhere inside your values allow it. If you keep tolerating dysfunction, it's because your values have not yet shifted to protect your peace. You cannot attract a healthy, abundant future while entertaining broken habits in the present. The alignment between your vision and your values is the soil where transformation grows. You don't plant an oak tree and water it with soda. Likewise, you don't speak about excellence and then show up late, cut corners, or avoid accountability. When your values betray your vision, your life sends mixed signals to everything around you, and confusion becomes your constant companion. When your values are not anchored, your emotions will run your life. You'll be moved by moods, distracted by trends, and seduced by shortcuts. But vision requires endurance. It demands that your values stand strong even when it's inconvenient, even when it's painful, even when no one else sees the battle you're fighting. Greatness is not accidental, it's intentional. And intention is guarded by values. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards results. And results are born from values like discipline, focus, honor, and faithfulness. You can't fake those for long. Eventually, your character catches up with your calling and either propels you forward or pulls you down. If your vision is sacred, your values must be non-negotiable. You can't claim to be building something holy while making compromises that are unholy. You can't expect divine promotion when your decisions are driven by pride, envy, or greed. Values are not just moral preferences. They are spiritual guardrails. They protect you from becoming the kind of person who loses everything they were trying to build. Your values will cost you. They will cost you popularity, comfort, and sometimes even short-term opportunities. But they protect something far greater: your purpose, your peace, your promise. When you value what's right more than what's easy, you create a foundation strong enough to carry the vision through storms, through setbacks, and through silence. There are people who have the same dream as you but will never reach it because their values won't sustain it. They'll rise for a moment, then fall when tested. But when your values are rooted deep, you don't have to fear the wind. You become immovable because your vision is no longer a wish, it's a lifestyle. When your vision and your values are aligned, clarity increases. You stop wasting energy on decisions that don't serve your future. You stop entertaining people who violate your standards. You stop explaining your boundaries. You don't need external permission to protect what God has shown you. Your values become your yes and your no. The truth is, most delays in life are not caused by a lack of opportunity. They're caused by a lack of alignment. God won't elevate you to a level your values can't sustain. He loves you too much to let your gift take you where your character can't keep you. If you want the blessing, you have to build the container that can hold it. There's a level of clarity that only comes when you start saying no to things that don't align. Every yes you give to something outside your values weakens the power of your vision. But every time you honor your standards, you strengthen your identity. Your future is built not in giant leaps, but in the daily decisions that no one claps for. Values make you trustworthy to others, to yourself, and to God. They signal that you are a good steward, someone who won't trade your calling for comfort. That kind of person is dangerous to mediocrity, a threat to average, and a magnet for divine favor. Because God doesn't just bless talent. He blesses trustworthiness. When your values match your vision, you become congruent. Your energy is no longer divided. Your actions are no longer conflicted. You begin to operate in a powerful rhythm, and life begins to respond with alignment. Doors open without striving. Relationships flourish without performing. Because now you're not just moving, you're moving in purpose. So many people are praying for direction when what they really need is correction. Not in their dream, but in their discipline. Not in their prayer list, but in their private choices. God has already spoken the vision, but will you build the character to carry it? Will you live in a way that shows you can be trusted with it? Vision attracts attention, but values build legacy. Anyone can dream, but only the consistent leave a mark. Anyone can talk about impact, but only those who live with integrity actually make it. Values may not look glamorous in the moment, but they are the quiet force behind every loud victory. Your future is too important to let your values remain optional. If you truly believe in the vision God gave you, then your values must be guarded with everything you have, because when your values rise to the level of your vision, the world can't help but respond. And what was once a distant dream becomes a tangible reality, lived out day by day. Most people spend their entire lives chasing things they were designed to attract. They run after success, relationships, money, respect, or purpose, like these are prizes awarded at the finish line. But chasing is a symptom of misalignment. Chasing implies that what you desire is separate from who you are. The truth is, when you become the person who is worthy of what you want, you no longer have to chase it. It comes looking for you. The world teaches us to hustle, grind, pursue, and perform. It idolizes movement, noise, and effort. But spiritual truth flips that model. It says be still, be transformed, be renewed. Your power doesn't come from how fast you move, but from how deeply you become. What you become determines what belongs to you. It's not about chasing results. It's about embodying the identity that draws those results naturally. You don't get the crown because you run the fastest. You get it because you carry the character of a king. You don't find love by chasing people. You find it by becoming whole, healed, and confident in your worth. You don't earn wealth by obsessively pursuing money. You attract it by becoming a person of value, integrity, and stewardship. Becoming is the gateway to everything you think you're supposed to chase. Chasing keeps you exhausted. It creates a cycle of never enough, always striving, never settled. You begin to believe that success is somewhere outside yourself, that joy is a future destination, that peace is a prize you'll reach when life finally cooperates. But those who become know that peace is presence, not progress. Joy is identity, not achievement. Transformation is not about changing what you want. It's about changing who you are. Because when you become the version of yourself that your vision requires, the vision starts becoming inevitable. It's no longer a matter of if, it's a matter of alignment. And alignment removes anxiety. You stop striving and start stewarding. You stop performing and start producing. The truth is, people who chase are often running from themselves. They're trying to outrun their insecurities, their fears, their doubts. But you can't build a life of power on a foundation of avoidance. The breakthrough doesn't come when you finally catch what you're chasing. It comes when you finally decide to sit with who you are and let God shape you from the inside out. Becoming is about identity work. It's not flashy. It's not Instagram-wise. It looks like forgiving when it hurts. It looks like waking up early to pray. It looks like disciplining your thoughts. It looks like breaking generational cycles quietly, faithfully, and consistently. It's the inner renovation no one sees, but everyone eventually benefits from. When you become, your energy changes. Your frequency shifts. You no longer beg for doors to open. You walk with the authority of someone who knows that access is a matter of alignment. You don't manipulate people to stay. You bless them if they go. You stop trying to fit into rooms that weren't built for your future, because becoming gives you clarity, and clarity is freedom. Chasing is an orphan spirit. It's rooted in scarcity, fear, and desperation. It's the mindset that says, if I don't chase it, I'll never have it. But becoming is the spirit of sonship. It's rooted in trust, abundance, and identity. It knows if I become who I was created to be, everything I need will be drawn to me in the right time and in the right way. There's a reason God is more interested in your heart than your hustle. Your hustle might get you recognition, but only your heart can sustain your results. When your character grows faster than your platform becomes a tool. But when your platform grows faster than your character, it becomes a trap. Becoming ensures that what you receive won't ruin you. You can't microwave transformation. You can fake progress. You can mimic confidence. But eventually, life will test who you really are. And when that test comes, it won't be your charm or your hustle that saves you. It will be your roots. Becoming means developing deep roots. It means knowing your values, standing on truth, and being unwavering even when storms come. Every level of destiny requires a new level of identity. You can't enter the next chapter of your calling with the same mindset that kept you surviving the last one. God doesn't promote potential, he promotes preparation. Becoming is the preparation. It's not glamorous, but it is glorious. It is the sacred work that happens in silence. When you stop chasing and start becoming, you also stop comparing. Because now, your focus is inward. You're no longer measuring your life by someone else's timeline. You're no longer asking why they got there before you. You understand that your journey is your training ground. And every delay is not denial, it's development. The most dangerous thing you can do is chase something you're not prepared to handle. Chasing can lead you into environments that flatter your ego, but fracture your soul. It can connect you with people who admire your gift but don't respect your boundaries. But when you become, your discernment sharpens. You don't just look at what's appealing. You ask, is this aligned with who I am and who I'm becoming? The difference between chasing and becoming is sustainability. Chasers burn out. They wear themselves thin trying to maintain an image or a pace that doesn't match their grace. But those who become walk in rhythm. They understand seasons. They honor rest. They know that everything doesn't have to happen at once because their identity isn't attached to outcomes. It's grounded in essence. Becoming also changes how you pray. You stop asking God to drop blessings from the sky. You start asking him to build you into the kind of person who can carry the blessing. You stop begging for breakthroughs and start preparing for them. Your prayer shifts from God, give it to me, to God, grow me for it. That is the prayer of a mature heart. When you chase, you live in performance. When you become, you live in authenticity. There's nothing to prove, nothing to impress, and nothing to force. Your presence becomes powerful because it's honest. And honesty is magnetic. People are drawn not just to what you do, but to who you are. And that's the power of becoming. You were never meant to live a life of chasing. You were meant to live a life of calling. And calling doesn't run from you. It waits for you to rise into it. It waits for you to mature into the person who doesn't just dream, but manifests, who doesn't just talk, but embodies. So instead of chasing love, become love. Instead of chasing influence, become someone of influence. Instead of chasing opportunities, become someone whose presence creates opportunity. This is not about doing more, it's about becoming more. The results don't come from effort alone. They come from identity revealed.